A quick introduction about myself. My name is Manjunatha MS Rao. People call me Manju. My close buddies call me MS. Been in the industry for last 16, 17 years and started with as an engineer, predominantly in a non-IT manufacturing, electronics design kind of an industry, and got into IT. Been in the area of mainly into quality management, process, agile, lean coaching. Uh, Currently, I'm heading business excellence or quality management and lean agile practice for one of the vertical in Siemens. So that's a little bit profile, and my passion is about working with people, working with teams to make a difference using some of the the skills which I have learned. So my mantra has been very simple: you make others to succeed, and you get in the process you get success and happiness. So fortunate to work with many leaders and blessed to get mentored and coached by many seasoned people like Vijay Wade and a couple of them in the industry. Uh, so that's a little bit background about myself. And let's come to the topic. Today, we're going to spend a little bit time about talking about problems, problem space. How do we look at problems and how do we solve problems in a classical approach versus maybe a new dilemma or looking at problem solving from a new angle or a lens. You may be wondering why this topic is chosen for today. So as lean agile practitioners, it could be a scrum master or product owners, or even you can be a agile project manager or agile program manager, whatever role you play. The challenge and problems or impediments are part and parcel of our agile teams, isn't it? That's where we have the process of inspect and adapt, continuous improvement and retrospectives, and we have enough opportunities in an agile world or an agile context where the entire team, entire set of people, we all get together to look at problems we face, impediments we face, risk which we encounter, to solve them, so that we can move progressively. And especially if you're also in an if you are in a leadership role, you encounter many interesting challenges and problems. Could be a product related or a solution related or people related. Typically we get into a problem solving mode by using either known experience based or maybe taking some inputs from people, and there are different ways of problem solving. So today my idea is to seed some thoughts to give you a perspective of how a problem can be looked from a different perspective, or a 360-degree holistic view of looking at a problem, so that uh, I'm not going to do a little bit deep dive into any of these tools or techniques or framework. Many of them are available, but I would like to keep it more at a very abstract level to give you the contextual understanding. And if required, we can have a deep dive session on many of these tools and technique what we are talking about in maybe one of subsequent session. So with that, as I said, you may be wondering why this topic, because we are all paid to solve problems, isn't it? You look at your any role which you are playing. It could be a scrum master, product owner, or a project manager, or a developer, or a tester. Because there is a problem and because customer wants some features. When I say feature, there is something missing. That's why you are building a feature. That itself is a challenge or an issue. Because of that, we are building a product. So every opportunity is seen as every problem is seen as an opportunity to solve the problem. And it is a known fact in the industry. If you are good at problem solving, you get better paid or you get paid more. A classical example is shown on the screen where there was a huge ship and it came to deboard a lot of stuff and in the port. And what happened is, they were not able to restart this ship. So the owner of the company was worried because the every minute you park, you have to pay, and of course you have a material to ship, and the delay you cause, you're not going to make money. So they tried and tested with all their known mechanics and engine specialists and engineers, and everybody came, and they could not solve it. And finally, someone said, "Hey, there is an old man in the town who used to be an engine, driver. So probably we can give it a try." So they called this guy, and he came and just inspected everything. Went into that engine room, saw a particular corner, and he took a hammer, just hit on a corner, and the ship started. And everybody was, oh wow, this guy is so experienced, and wow, this guy is really a nice problem solver and all the stuff. And the head of the company asked him, okay, how much do you charge? He said $10,000. It's like, what are you talking about? Why are you charging so much? You just took a hammer and hit on a corner. He said, yeah, for tapping the hammer, I charge only $2, but where to tap, I'm going to charge you 9,000 remaining dollars. So essentially what it says is, many a times problem solving is pretty easy, provided we know where is the problem or what is the actual problem, isn't it? And that's with that context or a maybe notion in mind, let's move into a little bit deep dive, right? So we live in a VUCA world, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and very ambiguous world. There are enough challenges, isn't it? If you look at the typical or a classical problem definition, what it says is, anything that is a hindrance to achieving the goal, anything which is harmful, anything which is unwelcome and need to be dealt with. It could be a personal, it could be professional, or it could be social or a political, anything for that matter, right? Anything which is going to create or a painful or emotionally it's not something soothing, we term it as a problem. And many a times we see that it is more than the problem, the way we react to the situation, the way we look at the problem, that itself creates some kind of turbulence in us. So why do you solve the problem? It's very obvious, because as a human beings, one is, we don't want to go through a painful situation. We don't want to go through a harmful, being threatened, or we want to feel safe. We want to feel happy. We want to feel that luxury. We want to feel that element of comfort, and a easiness, and an element of pride. So all these emotional things get translated into either a product or a solution, which is typically, in a psychological term, we call it as there is nothing, whatever you actually see in the external world, it's the manifestation of our mind or manifestation of our thoughts. So the whole concept of problem solving is all about reducing those problems or a pain, so that we get a benefit out of it, or maybe reduce those impact which is creating it. So one side, if you look at the problem space, it is a great opportunity for either a company or a startup or an entrepreneur to see it as an opportunity. The one person probably sees as a problem, whereas the other person sees as an opportunity to solve, maybe introduce a new product or a service, right? That is how the entire spectrum of this problem solving is all about. So the classical way of problem solving is quite simple, which is established, known, which is sometimes is a commonsensical approach. Sometimes this is what we have been taught through, either through academics or MBAs or any forum for that matter you go. It's typically considered as a 6-step process. You first define the problem, understand the problem space very well, go a little bit deep dive, understand, define the problem, understand the root cause. And once you understand the root cause, it's pretty obvious. Then you can look at multiple solution options, and you weigh in different solutions, what is the best thing to do, and just go out and select a solution, implement it, and ensure that the problem is solved, or evaluate the outcome. It's a very typical problem solving approach. But I would like you to just think here. Do you think all the problem we face, or you have seen or encountered, could be personal, professional, environmental, social? Today happens to be an environment day, so we all know the whole Mother Earth. We are going through a lot of challenges and issues in terms of the sustainability, and the our life itself is in danger in many aspects. So do you think this classical approach can help to solve the problem in all ways? Most of the time, yes, but many a times, no. The reason is very simple, because the whole challenge with the problem solving is the definition of problem itself, right? And understanding the type and intricacies of problems and dependencies will be many a times is quite challenging. That's where you see this classical approach sometimes fail to get applied, and or even if you apply, probably you will see that problem is not solved. Then what are the options you have? What alternates you have? Probably even if I was a Scrum Master or product owner or as a agile leader, you would have tried and tested some of these techniques of classical problem solving. It would have not worked. Maybe your customer wants you to come out with some innovative solution, innovative, creative problem solving technique. So the next couple of slides or next couple of minutes, I'm going to spend a more time or a more focus on looking at problem solving from a different perspective altogether. So far, are we good? Any questions? Any thoughts? You can unmute yourself and maybe ask some questions or want to share some thoughts so far. Are we good?
So far, so good. Yes.
All right.
Do you have any question?
Okay.
No, I think
So, all right. So let's deep dive into what are the different models or a proven framework which is available in the industry, and how some of these models can help us to throw some light into how do we solve the problems, right? So this Sinofin and Stacy matrix is popularly used in agile context, agile leaders, where we talked we discussed that if the problem space is somewhere complicated or a complex, you are good to apply some of these lean and agile concept. If it's a simple plain vanilla kind of a problems, you can straight away go and take any of these classical process approach, whereas the agile and lean kind of an approaches are better suited when there is a complicated or a complex kind of an environment. And of course chaos is something which you cannot manage it, rather we'll have to figure it out. So essentially, if you look at this slide, what it talks about is obviously your problem space can be considered or divided into majorly into 4 buckets. The obvious problems where your best practices can be used, where a direct relation between a cause and the effect, right? Whereas complicated ones are, you will be able to sense and analyze it, but you may have to use a expert knowledge and some kind of an analysis plus a combination of the data with some thinking to respond, rather than straight away go out and fix it. Complex environments are again going to be a pretty tricky situations where the relation between cause and effect is only pursued, or maybe as you go you'll be able to figure it out, rather than upfront you'll not be able to figure it out. That is where we talk about good practice and best practice and all, but when you are dealing or when you're working in a business environment which is very complex, that sometimes even this best practice and good practice will not help. You will have to figure it out your own practice, which is we typically call as an emergent practice, which is very much we deal in a day-to-day basis in the large complex system development using agile kind of practices. Of course, chaotic environment, you can't do much. It is basically you need to wait and watch and adapt as and when things happen. So now, keeping this business or a proven model in mind, I would like you to walk you through some of simple, complicated, and complex problems in a day-to-day basis. And let me hear or let me understand from your point of view, how do you think these problems can be solved? Okay, are you all ready? All right. So I would like you to help me out to solve this problem. So monsoon has already started setting in, and it's going to be it's already raining in Bangalore, and I'm based out of Bangalore, so it's raining badly, and it's pretty cold evening or mornings. So I'm a coffee lover. So, but unfortunately, I never have done the coffee. I always used to depend on my spouse to do it, and she happened to be not there. Now this is my problem. Somebody has to teach me, and you as a friend or you as a well-wisher, I would like you to help me to make a cup of coffee for me. Okay. So how we will do it is, it's a plain simple problem, right? I don't know how to make coffee, and you have to help me to make a cup of coffee. If you have any questions or thoughts, just hold on for a couple of seconds. Let people who already know the solution, let them start thinking about it and keying in. What I want you to do is to go to menti.com. Okay, and let me present it here. Okay, so go to menti.com and it will ask the problem where you write So let me go back. It's quite simple problem, right? So Mintu cracked it. So one key takeaway from this problem solving, guys, is many a times, you know what, there's a typically tendency of engineers. I'm also an engineer, so not to, you know, pin or you know, pinpoint or a corner engineers are great in solving the problem. That's where the entire world you see many products and solutions are built. What we are good as a human being is we jump into the solution the moment we see a problem without understanding or without asking further questions. When I asked this question, I said, if you have any questions, please hold on for a couple of seconds, right? I did not stop you. I was expecting some of you will come back and ask this question, hey, what kind of coffee are you talking about? There are varieties of coffee, right? Filter coffee, black coffee, cappuccino, instant coffee. So you don't know what is my like, with sugar, without sugar, with milk. So the first fundamental thing from my point of view, when we get into a problem solving, is ask questions, right? Ask relevant questions. When somebody says, I want a coffee, maybe you should ask, what kind of coffee do you like? Is it filter coffee? Is it black coffee, with sugar, without sugar, and, you know, flavored coffee? So the moment you start the conversation, the moment we start asking question, right, many of we get a clarity to solve the problem rather than just jump into the, you know, solution. Many times we provide solution thinking that you know, the person on the other side or the product or a solution is in line with what I think, whereas we are not solving the, many times we solve problem for ourselves, which is okay. But if you are solving problem for somebody else, it could be for your organization, your society, your you know, customer, then put yourself into customer shoe. That's what typically we call in agile, right? First understand persona, understand your customer, ask question before we jump into the solution. So that's one key takeaway from my point of view. And next, you know, I have a few more simple problem for you to think about and, you know, answer. So there was a factory which used to make this soap, and, you know, they started getting a complaint that, you know, empty boxes are being shipped. So they hired a automation company to fix this problem. They came and studied. They said, you know, probably you should do some more automation. You should put some kind of a controller. You should put some kind of a sensor which weighs the boxes and all those stuff. And you know, the owner of the company was, you know, getting multiple requests and you know, offers from different vendors. How does it fix this problem? And the solution was very simple. Anybody knows how to solve this problem or how it was solved? The kind of proposal which was given by those companies to solve this problem was huge. Somebody was like 30,000, somebody said 1 lakh, but it was a quite simple problem, just solved in a minute. Any idea? Somebody was saying something.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, I have heard about this somewhere.
Okay.
So they put a fan in place so that the
Absolutely.
air from that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So many a times we complicate problem solving because we know technology. Second one is many a times we believe that experts can only solve the problem. Yeah. And many a times we tend to complicate or look at the problem from a very you know, expertise point of view, whereas solutions could be quite simple as this, right? While all this process was happening, there was a guy who used to clean and swipe the you know, or make the entire shop floor clean. That guy saw, and why are we worrying it? You know, we have one empty or a big you know, fan which is kept on the corner of factory which is not being used. Let's put it there. The moment the empty boxes come on those conveyor belt, it flies away and you don't have to do anything, right? Many times the solution will be simple, just that we need to think a little bit out of box, is what it's trying to say. This was another classical you know, example from an elevator industry, where one of a large high-rise building in Mumbai, they got this fancy high-end elevator got installed, and everything was going well, and they started getting a complaint from customers that you know, the time taken to reach from ground floor to the top floor is higher compared to what the customers have experienced in other elevators. So the moment this complaint came to the quality departments, you know, they did an analysis and they sent some specialists. They looked at the performance, they looked at the time, they did some time and motion study, they compared with the competitors, and all those stuff happened, and they concluded that there's no problem in the lift. It's performing pretty well, but customers were not happy, right? So then they started thinking, how do we solve this problem? Any idea what was done to solve this problem? Anybody heard about this problem? Any thoughts? Anybody want to share in a chat window, or anybody wants to unmute yourself and say, have you heard about this problem and how it was solved?
Maybe remove that handle.
Okay, good thought. Any other guess?
Is it possible that they had a weight limit installed?
What limit?
A weight limit, the
Right.
amount of people that can get on the elevator.
Okay. Well, the elevators are designed for a maximum weight. Even if you have a min or a maximum that load, so the performance will remain the same. It will not have an impact. Okay. So in this case, there was no problem in the product per se, because it was a high rise. The moment people get into the elevator and they go to the top floor, right, they have to spend a good amount of time inside that elevator. And as we as a human beings, especially in the new generation, what we are not used to with waiting. We are always in a hurry. We are always in a anxious moment to just get it done, just move on, kind of a thing. That wait time in the elevator used to cause that some kind of an mental tension, or you want to call it like some kind of a pain. So then they hired a psychologist to look at this problem from a different angle, or a human or a people behavior point of view, or a human behavior point of view. And what they did, it's a quite simple solution. Sometimes it's actually a case study. They put mirrors in the elevator, and you see these mirrors in many of these modern elevators, especially if they are big enough, right? So the moment people get in, what will happen is, we as a human beings are very fond of watching ourselves in mirrors, right? We see starting seeing ourselves, and maybe praising our own stuff. The moment our mind get engaged in or get distracted in something else, so you will not be able to count, or you will not be conscious about how much time are you spending in the elevator. So this was a simple problem, and they started seeing that 50% of the complaints, or 50% of the satisfaction level increased, and complaints got dipped. So many a times when we are dealing with a product and solution which is touching the life of people, our customers, just don't look at from a technical angle. We should look at from a persona, or we typically call it as something called as empathy map. Many of you would have heard as part of product management concept, right? How customer feels, how customer thinks, how customer behaves. So those will become very key when you are designing a product or a solution. And many a times such simple solutions like this can solve the majority problem, rather than worrying to invest so much money in analysis paralysis. Yeah. All right. So these are some simple problems. And again, let me have some more examples from our day-to-day world. This is a big problem, right? Garbage. You impose fine, you give all kind of awareness, Swachh Bharat, you call whatever. Our people are so passionate to throw garbage on the road. How do you think we can solve? So in fact, we had a similar challenge in our apartment, where we do have a regular garbage collection daily in the morning, but still people used to go and dump garbage near our garbage room, and it used to be a messy, and our staff used to complain, we can't clean up this and all those stuff. The similar situation. What do you think we would have done a simple solution to solve this problem? We created awareness, we put posters, we said that we are going to impose fine and all those stuff. Nothing changed, and some people kept on repeating this pattern or a behavior. So how do you solve this problem? What do you think we would have done? Or what do you think could be option to solve these problems?
Garbage chute, maybe.
Okay. Okay. What else?
Ask people what is the actual problem. What will help?
Okay. But these are the people who don't want to talk because they know the moment they ask, they open up their mouth, they are caught. So they don't want to. It's kind of I would say it's a behavioral issue. They don't want to
Yeah.
give the garbage in the morning.
Yeah.
They want to throw it in the evening.
If I actually say it psychologically, people are generally told what not to do.
Yeah.
In place, if I tell them what to do, maybe throw it here, something like that.
Okay.
That will bring in a little bit of positivity. So that's my thought, that you put a banner, throw your best here.
Yeah.
Something.
Right. So we tried a couple of options. One is we kept open bins near that garbage room so that they can come and dump even in the evening if required. But that used to again overflow. Then we said, okay, enough is enough. Let's not encourage. What we did is we put a dummy CC camera in front of that garbage room. And we said, okay, we have installed CC cameras. Now, if we see anybody coming and dumping, you end up paying those penalties and those stuff. So the problem stopped because the moment I know I'm being watched, I kind of being embraced for not following whatever being told. So the problem stopped. And in fact, one of the other approach which I have seen people how they solve is, instead of putting that Modi banner, maybe put some God photos or statues there, right? And people will stop because they're so afraid of God and throwing a garbage in front of a God kind of thing. So essentially what I'm trying to say is there is no one solution to a problem. Probably we should experiment, try and figure it out what works in that particular context, right? Okay. So one more problem, which is again a classical study in the management. There was a toothpaste company. They were doing pretty well, and they were, their sales were going up, but still they wanted to capture the market, increase their sales. Somehow they were not able to do it. So in the management meeting, there was a lot of conversation. How do we improve our sales? Somebody said you should introduce new brand or new product with lemon, with honey, with salt, whatever new product and flavors, Ayurveda and all the stuff. And then an entire game, the entire day went into brainstorming and how do we improve the sales and all the stuff. So there was one guy who was serving the tea in the entire room. He was carefully watching what these guys are doing. So in the lunch break, evening tea break, that guy asked, "Sir, aap log kya kar rahe ho?" So this one of these executives said, "You know what? Sales nahi ho raha hai, and people are not using our product. Our sales are like this thing." So he gave a simple idea how to improve the sales of a toothpaste. Any idea what was that simple solution? Any thoughts? Have you heard about this? You would have heard this in many.
Yeah, I have heard about this one.
Okay. Want to share?
Yes, I think the simple idea was to change the size of the opening, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
increase the opening a little bit.
Exactly.
People will take based on the length, right? How much
Correct.
they will consume more actually.
Absolutely. So the simple solution was to increase the diameter of that paste, the container, so that the moment people take out the paste, instead of the normal quantity, it throws up extra quantity. So you end up consuming more. The habit will remain the same, but you consume it more kind of a thing. That way the sales got increased. So essentially, sometimes don't get into analysis paralysis. Quite, think a little bit from a creative angle and solve these problems is the key message for solving some of these problems. Okay. Let's look into some of the complicated problems which we encounter on a day-to-day basis. Assume that you are a owner of a restaurant. So you're very happy, you're franchised, and you invested some crores. It's doing very well, and boys and girls on the ground are managing the show. You as a owner are happy. One fine day, you want to see how it is going on. You just stepped into the restaurant, and this is what you see, where one of our unhappy customers they wrote, "We waited for 30 minutes, no service," and they just vanished, right? You as a owner got into the restaurant and you figure this out. Oh my God, what happened? Right now, how do you solve this problem as a owner? What do you do? Again, it's time to check. How do you think this problem can be solved? My request is again go to Menti, the same code. Now I have opened the next question. So I would like you to spend maybe a minute or less than a minute. What do you think could be the problem here? How do you think this problem can be solved?
Manjunath, as an initial approach, I think as an owner, I would like to meet the waiter or the other respective staff and try to understand what went wrong there. And
Okay.
yeah, and if we say like the people who has come who face this problem, if they are available, it's good that we get to learn from them. I mean, know from them what did not go well. If they're not available, because I believe like since they have already left the restaurant, so I think it is the staff we have better to ask them and then explore the problem like what it was, and then try to solve it.
Right. Okay. Any
I
other
think
thought?
that could be one of the approaches.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Put a buzzer on the table, check whether it is a self-service restaurant. Okay. Nice thoughts. Any other angle to this problem solving? Okay. So these are the kind of problems are a little bit tricky, or we call it as a complicated, right? Where you don't know what you don't know. It could be multiple issues or challenges on the ground. It could be that the staff may be lazy enough. They are hanging out with their smartphones and not attending to customer, or the customer has placed some order which is a rare dish, which is difficult to cook, or maybe it takes more time to cook, which was not conveyed to the customer, or maybe something else you don't know, right? In these are the situations where you need to, as you said, Mintu said, you need to talk to waiter, you need to understand little more the entire process, how it is set up, who is doing what, who is not doing what, and although a little bit tricky situation where you need to look at problem from multiple angles before you arrive at what is the exact problem or a root cause for this problem, and then maybe handle it in a little bit contextual.
We have some text in the chat box.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Provide free food if it is taking more than 30 minutes. Yeah, super. Yeah. I mean, that's what typically restaurants like Domino's or even some of them do it, right? If you don't deliver your food in less than 30 minutes, it's free, or give some free starters. Yeah, that's right. You basically you need to look at your entire value stream and optimize it, right? Typically we talk about value stream optimization in agile world, but the value stream concept is pretty much applicable in all the industry, right? Wherever there's a cache and a concept or a problem, there is a value stream and people process attached to that. So look at the entire value stream. Where is the time going? How can we delight our customers by either offering these, or maybe ensuring that there is a right kind of service at the right time, right? Good. The other one is, I liked it. Somebody said check if you can make it as a self-service. You don't have this problem. Then customer goes, place the order. Once the food is ready, you will have some buzzer or some kind of an alarm. Customer goes and picks the food, so you don't have to rely on somebody to serve them. There are different models to solve, different ways to solve this problem, right? Super, very good. So let's move on to look at some of the complex problem. How do you deal with, right? So this is a classical case, right? You are a washing machine manufacturer. There is a complaint that people got poisoned because of lassi made out of your washing machine. So now you are the head of the product, and you are wondering, oh my God, how do I solve this problem? My washing machine is not meant for washing the clothes. If somebody else is making lassi and people are dying or getting into problem, what can I do? So this typically happens in India, right? We call it as jugaad, right? So what do you think you can do as a head of product for this kind of problems? It happens, right? Your product is meant for something else, but people are using it different way, and they get into a problem, and you get into the problem because you own the brand or you own the product. What do you do? Have you guys seen this washing machine being used as a lassi maker?
Not seen, but heard a lot of times.
Yeah, it used to be in the past. Nowadays, I know I have seen there are mumbo jumbo lassi machines which is available. Maybe people were doing this jugaad, so somebody found this as an opportunity to make a large lassi machines, which is now pretty common. It was in the past, it was not common, so maybe people used to do this jugaad. So what do you do? Sorry.
This
So Manju, my question is, why would the manufacturer be bothered about this? Because it's not the purpose of the machine is not to make lassi. So it's pretty clear,
Yeah.
straightforward. Why would you go ahead and even get engaged in this kind of a discussion?
Correct, but somebody complained saying that because the lassi was made out of your washing machine, people got into trouble. You got a complaint. That's where you got into this conversation.
Maybe I was also thinking about disclaimer. So someone also had added the same answer here.
All right. Yeah. Okay. How do you folks think this problem can be solved? Disclaimer should be used.
Maybe create a machine which is less costlier than this one, very specifically for making lassis, and less costlier than this one, maybe.
Absolutely. See,
Yes, sell some detergent and ask them that if you want to make a lassi, please wash with this detergent. So you get more money. If they want to use it for lassi, let it be.
yes.
That's one more jugaad.
See, that's why we say, right? Every problem, necessity is the mother of invention. When there is a problem, you find multiple ways to look at it. So exactly. So the simple solution.
I think Shweta has an interesting answer here.
Yeah, washing machine should not work if anything is put other than the water. Like install water sensor. Yeah, you can invest. There's no end to technology, right? You can invest a sensor, put some kind of a thing. It senses the clothes and washes. The simple solution in this case was documentation. With every product we ship a documentation, either physical or electronic, and most of us as a consumers we don't use it. But actually, if you look at the brochure, it is clearly mentioned it is meant for washing the clothes. Even if somebody complains, as Pooja was saying, why the hell I will entertain this complaint? But it's clearly written in my product manual that is meant for washing the clothes. If somebody is using it for something else, I don't care, or I am not responsible for that. That was a simple case how they fought it. But yes, if you want to complicate the solution, if you want to increase the product cost, we can do some jugaad, add some sensors and make it work only with clothes and all the stuff. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is, in this case, many a times we don't see a value of documentation, right? But this is where the value of documentation is. When you ship a product with or a solution with the documentation, that can save us from many situations. The similar was, there was a case which was logged. A person kept a laptop for a long time on his thighs, and he burnt his skin. And there was a case, they were trying to sue this company, laptop company, and there was a hearing, and then the product company made it very clear. We have given a clear instruction. It generates heat. It's not meant to be kept on your lap and work. Though we call it as a laptop, but if you go back and look at many of these manufacturers, any of those notebook manufacturers, right? That's why they don't call them as a laptop. Though the general terminology used is laptop, but most of them, they use it as a handy computer or a notepad or something else. They don't call it as a laptop in the most of the user manuals. They call it as something else. Plus, there's a clear warning mentioned that generates a lot of heat, and please be careful. Don't keep it for a long time near your body. Yeah, many a times those documentations and clear instructions can help us to get into these problems or challenges. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into a chaos problem which we are all going through, Corona, right? So how do you solve chaos problems? Complex we saw. You need to look into multiple angles, some analysis, or it could be a technological solution or a documentation solution. Let's handle some chaos problems or situations. So we are all going through this pandemic, right? So who do you think can solve this problem? Is it the government? Is it the healthcare? Is it police? Is it all of us? Or is it somebody else? So if you look at this problem, it's a combination of too many things. We don't know what we don't know, and every day something changes. Every day something emerges, right? So lockdown has been imposed, but still there are people who roam around for no reasons. So police is trying it out. We are all working from home, trying to balance work for home and all the priorities. There are requests from health workers and front end people to asking us not to step out. So many things, right? And if you look at it, it's a very tricky situation. We many times we comment, we get frustrated, and we show for angriness, or frustration in front of government or media. But if you look at it, it's not an easy thing to handle in a country like us, especially. You can't impose a lockdown for a long time, because people will end up suffering. The industry will suffer. There's a lot of finding from the agencies that the more you do a lockdown, you will get into more financial crisis, right? You can't impose a lockdown forever. So it has to be done in a very systematic way with more precautions, and it's a collection of vaccination, awareness, the control mechanism put in place, and of course the tips and techniques given by health workers. So you need to look at from all the angles, right? That's where if you look at whenever there is a announcement regarding corona lockdown, or say, they say that based on the technical team recommendation, or based on a specialist team recommendation. They say, when you say a specialist team, it actually a cross-functional team consists of somebody from finance angle. What will happen if we lock down? Somebody from judicial angle, somebody from law and order, somebody from healthcare, someone from social or justice or human angle. So that team has to come together, sense the current situation. You cannot have a generic thing what is being done in Europe or done by somebody else. That is where this is one more lesson which we typically call, right, decentralized decision. Now, if you see the lockdown and any corrective actions, any procurement need to handle the situation is given out to the respective district commissioners. So that is where you can control the situation better, rather than somebody trying to sit at a central location and control all possible permutations and combinations. So this is a classical example of agility, right? Network of teams coming together, using data, using the cross-functional team. You don't know what you don't know, and every moment there is a twist and spins and turns. You handle it as you go, right? So there's no one way to look into it. So you need to look at the holistic angle and solve the problem. Okay, so we're running late. I'll go a little bit fast pace, so bear with me. So far we looked at some simple problems, complex, complicated problems. Now I would like to spend some time on giving you a perspective about something called as inventive problem solving. And this is a very, very interesting topic. I've been reading a lot and doing some, research on this topic. So any product or solution, right, arise, as we talked about, is because there is a problem to solve. And when you want to solve a problem, there is a set of techniques available called inventive problem solving techniques. Classical example is mosquito, which bothers us, especially in many parts of India, right? How do we solve? To solve the mosquito menace, there are so many solutions, right? There's a mosquito net, there's electronic repellent, there is a chemical repellent, there is a spray, and whatnot. There are so many solutions available. Now, if you look at this, each one it's an industry by itself, right? There is a chemical industry, there is a clothing industry, there is an electronic industry, there is a kids, there are special mosquito repellents for kids, a focused product, focus segmented products. They make hell lot of money just because by doing such products, right? Or you have a simple fogging and other solutions, or mosquito bat and all the stuff. If you see one problem, there are multiple solutions and multiple products, and everybody has their share, everybody has their own product and solution. What if tomorrow somebody comes out with some solution or some invention which kills the entire mosquito, right? What will happen to all these industries? They're all gone, right? And that is the kind of a threat which all of our industries are going through. That's where we call as the sense of danger, sense of looking at the industry is very prevalent. That's where agility is not just practices Kanban or Scrum. It is about business agility or a mindset about keeping an eye what's happening around me, a 360-degree angle of what's happening. So if somebody comes and solve this problem, all this business will go into toss, right? So we have to be very creative in picking the battle and finding the right solution. Another classical example, right? How many of you have kids, morning they get up and they say, oh, I don't want to brush. At least I have a little one, 3 years, and this is the daily nakra. She doesn't want to brush, right? So that made me to think, it has become so habitual for us, right? Morning, as soon as you get up, you brush, and night before going to bed, we brush. The whole purpose, why do we do brush? Is because when we eat food, the particles left over will create problem in our mouth. So if you don't remove it, it gets into tooth decay, right? But it started making me think, right? Why do animals don't brush but still don't have a problem? It's an interesting read. By the way, you should go and figure it out or read in the Google. There are very few animals which will experience a tooth decay. Otherwise, most of the animals, they don't, because the kind of food they eat or the nature way of healing is far better than human beings, right? So this is a huge industry by itself, right? If you look at toothbrush and toothpaste, there are 20,000 patents available. Can you imagine a simple product like a paste and a brush? There are 20,000 patents. So there are simple brush which typically use, kids though, all fancy designed brush. You have electronic, you have electric UV based, kind of a vibration based, musical and whatnot, right? There are plenty of products. That's where there are so many patents, and it's solving the same problem which our ancestors used to do, like either neem stick or charcoal or salt or a brick powder, but it's more converted product with a premium, right? A simple brush maybe will cost you 10-20 rupees, but if you go for a UV based or some kind of ultra modern solution, it costs you maybe 300 or 500. Problem is same. You are adding an element of luxury. You're solving the problem with a more pride, or you're solving the problem with more comfort or a luxury, and that's where you're getting premium for that, right? Just think about it. What if somebody finds a new product like maybe a chewing gum or some mouth freshener kind of a liquid, and if you take that, you don't have to brush? What will happen to this multi-billion or a million industry of toothbrush and toothpaste? They're all gone. And that is what is inventive problem solving. Somebody else is already, maybe thinking about solving this problem from a different angle. Yeah. So essentially what I'm trying to say here is, when we talk about inventive problem solving, your product or solution could be same, but sometimes what matters is the service or a package or even selling. Many a times we know, right? How do you sell also matters a lot to solve a problem. Classical example, theater, old time theaters where we used to, when we were kids, we used to go and pay 20 rupees and watch the movie. Nowadays we spend, 500,000 or 2,000 rupees to go to this nice fancy movie theater. The problem is same. What they're going to show movie is going to same in both the places. What is additional is the luxury element. What is additional is that music, soothing, AC and all those stuff, right? So the problem is same, but the solution and packaging is different. That's why you're charging a premium for that, right? Similar way, vaccination. You go to vaccination centers, they say it's not available. Whereas nowadays we see, private players have started coming out with these vaccination vehicles. They come to your door, one by one, just get in and get your shots done. But of course, it comes with a premium. It's not free, right? And this is what I really liked it. If you go to a village, typically they make this gobar patti, right? And if you go and ask somebody, they'll give you a throw, and they'll throw at you. Okay, take it and go. Whereas if the same product, if you package it well, it can sell for $3, right? And in the name of maybe emotion or religious belief system, right? This is holy thing, right? So what is the matter is the product is a simple product, but what you are doing is a packaging and convincing that this can solve your problem and selling it, right? So that also matters, is what you should look at from an inventive problem solving techniques. So net to net, what I wanted to convey here is there are different ways to solve a problem. A simple technique is keep it simple, stupid, which is a common sense. Many a times we can go with expert opinion, statistical techniques, out of box thinking, creative and inventive problem solving techniques. And nowadays technology is so advanced. You have all these AI, ML and RPA and emerging technologies, which you can use it for solving your problems. But in a classical way, you can also look at 7QC tools, PDCA, advanced QC tools, Lean, Six Sigma, business process reengineering, value stream mapping. There are plenty of tools and techniques available. And especially in creative inventive problem, there are tools called TRIZ. I'll talk about TRIZ in a minute, maybe a couple of minutes. Design thinking, system thinking, user-centric design. So all these things will help us to look at the problem from a different angle and try to come out with an optimal solution. So there are some problems which are already solved. Example, like, pull model or a Toyota kind of a production system, which is just in time. They use pull models instead of stacking the cars. They give it on the, like it's Tesla kind of a model, right? Where you just book online, it gets delivered to your home with a password. You don't have to go anywhere and, do that. So Vijay can share his example. One of his friend recently bought it. It got delivered to his office, so seamless delivery. So this is something which I personally liked it, and I have started learning a little bit about it. This is something called as a theory of inventive problem solving, called TRIZ. It's a research by a Russian scientist or a Russian person who studied some millions of or maybe thousands of patent applications, and at the end he figured it out. There is no new problem in this world. Even if you look at all the patents and patent applications, all the problems which are solved in all the patents can be combined into one of these 40 principles. And he created a matrix called contradiction matrix. And he says anything in the world, somebody else would have solved the problem. If you are in a mechanical industry, you are trying to solve your problem, look at somebody else, which can be like manufacturing, or it can be a healthcare industry, or it could be education industry, and vice versa. And if you are in an IT information technology, you have some problem, think that this is a big problem. No, some other industry would have solved it. It could be a civil industry, or it could be a aviation industry. What we lack is we don't know to look problem from an abstract angle. And this technique helps us to look the problem from an abstract angle and try and test out some of the solutions which is already implemented. And by the way, this helps in a radical innovations. Many Indian and especially the most inventive companies in Israel, South Korea, and Russia, they use TRIZ to the core. They use it as part of their overall product design mindset and product design process. And this will help in the radical innovations, both in process as well as in products and solutions, right? So I would say spend some time. If required, we can have a separate session on this. So this is a very, very interesting subject, and maybe we should go a little bit deep dive. Okay. So essentially, I will start summarizing. Maybe I'll take another 2-3 minutes. So far, what we have been talking about is what is fundamental is the problem definitions. We need to understand what is the real problem. Is it really corona spread is a problem, or something else is a problem? Classical example, right? Is it the right problem to be solved now? Example is Bangalore traffic. It is known for a notorious, right? Can you solve that? Probably to a certain level. Now, beyond a point, you can't. Are we solving the problem right? And the washing machine case, right? And is it the right time to solve the problem? For example, you want to introduce 5G compatible devices in India, whereas it's not yet arrived. Probably you want to do it, but time is not the right thing, right? So identifying the problem definition is the first key in solving the problem, right? Second one is root cause identification, right? Many a time we get into that analysis paralysis and we forget the simple solutions. So that's where I would say look at the nature of the problem, look at from both emotional and rational level, both behavioral and the aesthetic level. Identify the root cause versus symptom. Identify a difference between a common cause and a special cause. Is it happening frequently, or is it one of a case? If it's one of a case, why do you want to solve the problem, right? And many a times there is a lot of difference between a correlation and causations, right? Maybe those of you with a little bit statistical background can understand this. And also think from feasible, viable, smart, SWOT, ROI. Those are the analysis which is available. You can use it as required. And when implementing a solution for a problem, just understand that change management is very key. The more than the solution, the what is key is how do you convey, how do you get people adapted to the change is a very key thing, right? That's what we also keep talking in agile. Agile is quite simple, agility is simple, but the adaptation is something difficult. And many a time the silo thinking is the root cause of all the problems. If you bring a cross-functional team, they'll be able to do amazing system thinking and solve the problem rather than one or two of us trying to solve a problem. And of course, continuous improvement is the key. Okay, so with all this context and with all this conversation, I would say many a times the classical problem with all of us is not the problem but the mindset, right? As you can see on the screen, the elephant is not tied by the rope or by that the small hook, but its belief system that it has been tied for a long, I can't escape. Many a time we tend to solve the problem with a fixed mindset, not by an open mindset. So probably that's one thing we should keep in mind. And my favorite, all-time favorite is a tool with a fool is still dash dash. Maybe you can figure it out what it is. So don't emphasize too much on tools. Tools are good, techniques are good, but the person who is solving should not be a fool, or we should not be fool ourselves when we look at the problem, right? And of course, with all this context, don't worry about problems. Just chill, relax, develop some kind of a creativity, because as you can see on the screen, right? So I wish I would have been a jellyfish because it is no brain, but it survived for millions of years. So if a jellyfish can survive for so many years, I have a hope, or we all of us have a hope that we'll be able to survive. So with that angle, let me stop here.